Welcome to part 52 of In the Beginning and the End. And this is March the 7th, 2025 by man's calendar. And before I get back into Genesis 32, I have something else I need to discuss. This is how the Lord has told me to do this instead of doing another special break-in. He has said to put it over here. He has his purpose for that. I want to discuss for a moment or two, or a little while here, the harpazo. And let me state right here at the outset of this particular video that there will be photos in the comment section of this particular video. So please do check into that because they will be pertaining to this discussion that I'm about to have with you. It's very real. This thing I want to talk to you about. So many of you perceive in your little minds that these things are made up by the devil or that they are wrong. But let me ask you something. Was it made up by the devil that God rescued Noah before the flood? Was it made up by the devil that God rescued Lot before the fire rained down? Then, and God, whom is no respecter of persons, who has righteous people still to this day, why would he not rescue them before his wrath? Pre-wrath? Pre-wrath? Why would he not honor his word where he says in Luke 21, verse 36, I believe it is, he says to pray to be found worthy, I think it's how it's worded, to stand before the Lord, basically. That is not actual wording. But I'm trying to break it down into simplicity so that you will understand it. Pray that you be found worthy to stand before him and to escape all these things which shall come upon the world, to try them, right? So also in Revelations 3:10, it says, because you have kept the word of my patience, I will keep you from the temptation, which is the trial, to come upon the whole world to try them. That's the world. That's the worldly people, in other words. That is the ones who have not separated themselves and made themselves separate people. That's the ones who have not been baptized in the name of Jesus and who are not blood bought. That's the ones that refuse to believe in Jesus and who he is and his finished works at Calvary. The Lord said, as he hung there, bleeding and dying, right before he gave up the ghost to tell us that, which means it is finished. And then he gave up the ghost, right? So, if it was finished then it's still finished now. A finished thing does not come undone. Are you finished? Do you truly believe in the Lord and his righteousness, or do you believe in yours? Let's go a little deeper in this discussion. To believe that you have to stay in the wrath of God, to believe you have to stay through the 7 years tribulation, for what purpose? To those of you that believe that we have to go through it, to what purpose? Why would God's children have to go through that? God's righteous children that have been obedient to his word and done as he has told them to do. Why would they have to go through that? See, because to say that we have to go through it, many of y'all believe we have to go through it in order to prove ourselves to the Lord. The Lord knows our hearts already. He's already proven us by how we live every day and the things that we have done in this life and the sacrifices that we make daily for him in order to live his will, his way. So why do we have to go through his wrath? How does that prove our love? Why would he expect us to go through his wrath, which we certainly cannot endure? Because no one can survive the wrath of God. No one. It is written. So who is going to escape the wrath of the Lamb? No one. So why would God want his righteous people in a place where they cannot escape? Zephaniah 2:3 KJV. Zephaniah 2:3 says, "Seek ye the Lord, all ye meek of the earth, which wrought his judgment. Seek righteousness, seek meekness, and it may be ye shall be hid in the day of the Lord's anger." Now, I kept trying to tell y'all that this was a rapture verse, and I've stated this more than once, but y'all don't seem to be listening and you don't seem to be getting it. Let me see if I can put this parable to you to help your understanding. If you have children, imagine, if you will, your child is in an automobile on a train track, and the automobile is stalled, and the train is coming, barreling fast. Big old locomotive. Here it comes. And your child is dead set on the train tracks in this automobile. But because they are so frustrated with the car and trying to get it started, they don't notice the locomotive coming at them. So they make no attempt to get out of the car. And you're standing there watching this unfold. Are you going to stand there and watch your child be hit by this locomotive? Or are you going to go and try to pull them from the car before it hits? See, Jesus pulled Noah from the earth before the flood. And I'm talking about God. Jesus is God. Jesus is the Word made flesh. And the Word was God. John 1:1, in the beginning was the Word was God, the Word was with In the beginning was the Word was with God, and the Word was God. That means the Word is God. And that means Jesus, being the Word come in the flesh, He is God. And y'all keep trying to fight this fact. But I'm breaking it down for you and trying to make it as easy as possible. But He saved Noah before the flood, not after. He saved Lot before the fire rained down, not after. Those were His righteous children, and He is no respect maker. But you want me to believe that I have to go through the tribulation, so you want me to believe my God is going to make difference in me and His other righteous children. Oh, no, I'm not buying it. If I have been obedient and I have done according to His will and not my own, and I have followed Him, it's not by my works, it's by His. And my obedience showed that I believed Him when He warned me to come out. But even Noah had to be obedient. Had he not built the ark, he would not have escaped the flood. If Lot had not left the city, he would not have escaped the fire. But Lot was resistant. He didn't want to leave it, did he? He didn't want to go into the wilderness. He didn't want to go into the mountains. He didn't want to go hide. He liked being in the city. He didn't want to be away from the city. And then here he is. Where does he end up, though? He ends up going into, which we have read and covered in the book of Genesis, this fact, that he left and he went into another city where the angels permitted him to go. But then, what? He ended up leaving there too and going into the mountains. All these cities are full of demonic things that's happening. Do you think God is not going to judge them? Are you still living in this little world where God is not wrathful and you think He doesn't punish the unbeliever? You're about to find out opposite that. But if you don't believe in the rapture, as some call it, it's actually the catching away, the harpazo. If you don't believe in the Lord and what He tells us in His Word, you're certainly not going to obey His Word and keep it. And if you're not obeying His Word and keeping it, it shows you do not believe. And if you don't believe in Him, you cannot live with Him forever. If you can't comply to His will now, how could you for eternity? It's not going to be about you in the kingdom of heaven. It's going to be about Him. And if you can't comply and worship Him now, every day, every moment, with all that you do, how could you then? I'll see you in the next part, and we will continue this discussion.